Let's get ready to rumble!
Welcome to Boxing Unwrapped.
It's Boxing Unwrapped, a boxing podcast by two guys who, after a long period of reflection, have decided to try and become financially independent. I'm Ryan.
I'm Andrew. We have decided to become financially independent. I think it's been a decision that's been forced upon us by the fact that no one's prepared to give us any money. So, what else can you do?
What else can you do, But, we will decide maybe to spend some of our time between North America and the United Kingdom. If people will pay for our flights.
Carbon footprint. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Welcome to What the F is the Boxing News, guys. We're back. We are back. We are back. We are very back. We actually got a message today on the day of recording from Tom Watson, who was very concerned about our welfare. And he was like, "Are you guys okay? We haven't had a podcast in ages." And I was like, "Don't worry, we are alive. We are recording today. We've just taken an extended holiday break."
An extended Christmas break, yeah. We've been battling some inner demons across the course of Christmas, haven't we?
Exactly.
We've had to really come back from the brink and battle through it all, and it's just, I feel so relieved, and if we can do it, anyone can do it.
Absolutely, man. I mean, there were points where I'd eaten so much chocolate I thought I was going to die.
I couldn't eat any more chocolate, but I couldn't stop eating chocolate at the same time.
It's fucking...
What was I supposed to do?
So, it's just everywhere. It's everywhere. It's like crack.
So,
Andy, do you want to tell the good people what we have in store for them this week?
Well, just be like the good old days, right? The good old days for the listeners. We're going to talk about what are the results. I think we should do some kind of like quick fire catch up. What's happened over the past kind of 3-ish weeks. So we'll do a quick fire. What the F have the results been over the last little while since we last recorded a podcast? Although that's not very catchy. We're going to look at what the F are the fights this week, and it's pretty dry out there, pretty barren. We will look at what the F went wrong last week, although that's perhaps a bit of a trick question. We've covered a fair bit of random news, and there's plenty to pick at based on the fact that we've not recorded for a little bit. We can do some grinding our gears, and of course we'll round off with a little bit of listener corner.
Right, well, let's dive in then to what the F are the results this month.
Do you want to just like pick something that caught your eye, or let's not try and be clever and do this like chronologically. Let's just pick something.
Let's talk about my boy Teofimo Lopez beating my other boy Richard Comey.
Yeah, surprising. I think this was probably the most impressive performance of the past little while, would you say?
Oh man, I mean, devastating. Actually, to be honest, Comey looked so much out of his depth, I think. Weird.
I was very surprised. I think a lot of people had Lopez winning this, but not a lot of people had Lopez absolutely destroying him in the second round. That was a surprise.
I mean, it now is going to be very interesting to watch him up against Loma, actually. It seems to me that he has absolutely no fear whatsoever. So it means that when it comes to fighting Lomachenko, I don't think he's going to get dazzled in any way. But it could be his undoing, I think.
Yeah, because if he's wanting to steam forward, he's going to get picked off. And I guess it's just a question of... how much he gets to lay down his power. I mean, and how actually was it just the way he caught Comey, or was it that he is now carrying that much power? I don't know. I think he's going to do well. I don't know. I don't really fancy his chances. I give him like a small chance against Lomachenko, but not a big one. I think he'll probably get schooled. Well, he'll definitely get schooled for a good portion of it. It's just whether he can land some of those heavy blows. But I don't know. I don't know if he's a bigger puncher than people.
No,
Lomachenko's been in with already. I don't know. It'd be interesting. I'm very keen to see it. I'm very keen to see it. And he's only 22, is he?
Yeah,
young man,
very young man. So, I think it looks good. I can't wait for it to happen. Actually, to be honest with you,
agree. How is it that he went from? I'm just thinking. His last but one fight was against Nakatani, and he really laboured to like a 12-round points, which a lot of people said he was maybe a tiny bit fortunate to get, and then he goes from that to like absolutely beating one of the best of the rest in division in Comey and destroying him in 2 rounds. It's quite the turnaround.
Maybe he just had an off night. It's the only thing I can think of. We're all guilty of it sometimes, Andy.
It's more the on nights that are the odd ones out for me, Ryan, rather than the off nights, to be honest.
I know, man. Tell me about it. Getting too damn old for this.
Should we talk about boxing's favourite idiot?
Always.
Gervonta Davis beat I can never say this boy's first name. Yuriorkis Gamboa, 11th round stoppage. Now, Ryan, from your personal experience, how mobile were you after your Achilles injury?
Once I tore my Achilles tendon, I couldn't walk. I literally could not walk because, I think you probably don't realize how important your Achilles tendon is to the movement of your foot, but it's instrumental. So if you are to rupture your Achilles tendon all the way through and still move and somehow have some sort of power in your balance, it's remarkable.
So this is the fate that befell Gamboa in round 2 of their contest. So dependent on how you like it and which reporting you follow, either this was another dominant performance from a heavy-handed Davis, or this was Davis looking increasingly tired and out of ideas against a one-legged aged Gamboa. So take your pick, listeners. Those are the 2 schools of thought that have emerged, broadly speaking, from this fight. But what's not in dispute is Gamboa did tear his Achilles in round 2 and was somewhat diminished as a result of that for the remainder of the fight, but still was nothing if not brave and game. And Davis did appear to tire in the middle stages of the fight as well, but eventually got the stoppage, and he does bang. So we'll see what's happening next.
Right. Well, shall we talk about Terence Crawford versus the Beast?
Cavaliauskas. Yeah, we should. So this was a lot more competitive than people thought it was going to be. Contentious in the 3rd round, that what could have been ruled a knockdown against Crawford was actually ruled a slip. Anyway, Crawford recovered, piled on the pressure, and got the stoppage in I want to say the 9th. Obviously, I should have had that written down. Lack of professionalism for me. I'm out of practice, Ryan. I'm out of practice. But I think it was the 9th that he eventually stopped Mean Machine.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest here, right? Terence Crawford.
Please.
Terence Crawford,
we've no time for half-truths on this show.
He needs to be fucking... I don't understand why people aren't fighting this man. Obviously his last fight was before this. Was that Amir Khan? And then Cavaliauskas, because
I think it was. I think you're right. Yeah.
It's not. I think it's a waste of a very good boxer fighting people who don't really have big names.
Well, none of the sort of the big available ones. This is the kind of promotional wranglings, isn't it?
Yeah,
none
totally.
of the ones who would be a good match for him. He's going to get to fight, so he should be fighting. Pacquiao's not going to fight him. He'd beat Pacquiao.
exactly.
Pacquiao's fighting Garcia. Is Pacquiao fighting Garcia? I think he's fighting Danny Garcia.
Yeah,
he could fight Danny Garcia, but then obviously he thinks he's like the big one, even though I think Crawford's clearly a bit better than him. And he wants to fight Spence, and Spence won't fight him. So.
Regis Prograis wants to fight him.
That would be very interesting.
And our boy Josh Taylor also wants to fight him.
Yeah, with time, so we can talk about it a bit more later, I guess. But yeah, that would be because I think Crawford is not any naturally bigger. He's probably naturally a smaller man than Taylor, and probably similar size and shape to Prograis actually.
Yeah, I think it could be a very good fight. Obviously, like I think Josh Taylor would go up to welterweight very easily.
Yeah, I think him and Prograis were both having to melt a lot to make super light. So yeah, I think as their careers go on, I think they will be going up to welter. The action division.
The action division. So yeah, Daniel Dubois. Should we talk about Daniel Dubois?
That was not cricket. That fight was not cricket.
No.
Who is this boy? Who is Fujimoto? You really can get like a world ranking with some of these bodies, despite having basically what appears to be no ability to box.
Again, okay, so I know. You always remind me that he's young and inexperienced and blah 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 blah. But like Frank Warren is talking some shit about Daniel Dubois, right? And I just kind of want to see him against someone decent.
Well, there is a lot of chat that you're going to get your wish. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Well, there's a lot of chat that they're trying to
the Joe Joyce fight. Yeah, but like again, Joe Joyce. This is because we know Dubois can bang, right? Joe Joyce cannot.
Well,
he's like a diesel engine. They say he's got an engine
at low speed.
At low speed, he's like a tractor engine, basically. He's just such a power. Like it's an easy fight for Frank Warren to say yes to because he knows Joe Joyce will not hurt Daniel Dubois.
I don't know. I think Dubois. I would fancy Dubois based on what I've seen of them both recently, but it might be interesting. I think there's at least something vaguely interesting, but I think you have to acknowledge that Joyce is a step up from some of his previous.
Oh,
opponents.
Of course.
He fought Gorman last bar 2, and since then he's fought that guy Tete and Fujimoto, who both have like stellar records on paper, but really are completely out of their depth on a kind of world stage. So he needs to fight. I don't know if he has to jump to Dubois to Joyce, but he has to fight someone a bit better than that utter tin can that he fought.
I agree
because it's not cricket. It's not very sporting.
So who else should we talk about? Should we talk about Mr. Charlo? Jamel Charlo?
There's a Charlo.
The Charlo. Charlo alert. Bang, 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 bang.
Jamel Charlo avenged his loss to Tony Harrison to regain his super welterweight title. Quite competitive. I think at the time the judges had him up, but most observers had Charlo should have been behind. Harrison should have been ahead. But anyway, it was a pretty conclusive stoppage, and he showed some power late on, so I'm okay with it. Jean
Pascal?
Yeah, I think Badu Jack probably needs to retire now. I think he's only going one way. This was a very very competitive fight, and it was very, very close. But in terms of where the landscape now of the light heavyweight division, I think these guys are like kind of ranked in the kind of, I guess, 5 to 10 kind of zone. If memory serves me, my boy Dimitri Bivol fought Jean Pascal, and I think he beat him by like a country mile. But I mean, obviously, I've got a thing for Bivol, but I think in terms of where these guys are now sitting in the light heavy, and I don't know. I think Badou Jack's had some pretty. He's had a lot of long, tough fights. Mm-hmm. And you had that, the Harry Potter scar and everything.
Oh, that was horrible.
Before. Yeah, I think Badou Jack's had enough of it. I don't think he's getting any. I think his level is going to start to decline, and it will probably more pronounced his decline. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bivol beat Pascal. Like, I'm just looking up scores there. Like 6x6 by 10x10 on the judges' scorecards. He completely schooled him. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Yeah. The other light heavy fight, Joe Smith Jr. versus Jesse Hart, and I think the same thing applies. I think Bivol, that was like a pretty competitive fight, although it shouldn't have been a split decision. But I think Bivol beat Joe Smith Jr. pretty comprehensively. Memory serves me. So again, these guys are scrapping it out, and these are guys that Bivol have been dominating. So. Yeah, he won by 10, 10, and 8 on the judges' scorecards when he fought him. So I want to see Bivol in a big fight, is what I'm saying. Even though he's not part of this, I'm just saying. Anyway, there were some good fights at light heavy, but like not the very, very best in the division, but just the ones below that. I think is where they now are.
Now, Mr. Jaime Munguia, labouring, unimpressive against Gary O'Sullivan.
Yeah, because. So the whole thing was that he's going to test out a middleweight, and because he's pretty destructive and he's such a massive guy when he was fighting at light middle, but maybe at middle, maybe his power doesn't carry up. I mean, O'Sullivan's game, but did O'Sullivan, if I'm not mistaken, our fails to make weight Canadian friend
David Lemieux, yes.
Did he not bang out O'Sullivan in a round?
Yeah, and
or 2 rounds.
Also, Mr. Chris Eubank Jr. retired him.
Absolutely, he absolutely schooled him. He destroyed him. He had him basically. His corner had to throw the towel in.
He retired him. So bad.
So I think Munguia labouring to a win against O'Sullivan, I don't think bodes well for his. I know he's very young, but I don't know if it bodes well for his career at lightweight.
Also, Gary O'Sullivan lost to Billy Joe Saunders as well. And the thing with Gary O'Sullivan's career is it seems like if he comes up against any middleweight of note, he loses. So it's a test to see if he can fight. Like for Jaime Munguia, can you fight a man who is a middleweight and win? But it's not really a decent test. I think if he goes up against anyone decent, he might find himself in some serious trouble.
Agree.
And should we finally mention Miss Clarissa, I own every belt that women can box for, Shields?
Just plain greedy, isn't it? Yeah, she schooled Ivana Habazin. I think she got all of the points. In a break from traditional boxing 10-point must system, I think they just gave all of the points to Clarissa Shields.
Yeah, it's
like 100-0.
Well, I mean, it's pretty incredible, to be honest. But you have to wonder, I mean, what is left? And if you are a female boxer, do you want to get in the ring with her?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of people on Twitter very upset at the whole she's the three-weight world champion quicker than Lomachenko sort of thing, and they were going, but in women's boxing in one of these divisions there's only 30 fighters in the world, whereas in men's there's however many hundreds or thousands or whatever, so it's not like an apples for apples comparison, which is probably true, but anyway, she's still clearing house, she's doing it in style, she's doing it quickly. What more do you want? She's got skills. She's superly skilled. She's a pretty phenomenal boxer, to be fair. Not a power puncher, but has all of the skills. So easy to like.
So, well, then, shall we move on to probably the shortest segment of the night? What the F are the fights this weekend?
I don't know. There's only one, right? Julian Williams versus Jason Rosario.
A classic, if I've ever heard one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what you want me to say. It's for a belt. He's got a couple of belts. It's for belts. He's pretty good. Jason Rosario is not pretty good. What's interesting about Jason Rosario is how his first name is spelled.
Yeah, I mean it's certainly an interesting spelling. It reminds me of it's basically it's the way that someone would spell Jason if they didn't know how to spell Jason and also didn't know the I before E rule with.
For the listeners, I'm sure this is making great listening. Jeison is how Jason Rosario has spelled Jason. I'm wondering whether it's like a kind of Hispanic. Obviously, he's got a Hispanic surname. I'm wondering if it's like a Hispanic spelling of Jason, and we're being mildly offensive by making fun of it.
I don't think so.
It does look a bit funny.
It does look very funny. Yeah, there's fucking no boxing, man. There's no boxing. There is a lot of local boxing matches going on. So, what you could do is you could go out to, this weekend, if you are in and around Manchester, you could go to the Woodhouse Park Lifestyle Centre in Withamshaw. There is some boxing there.
What are you talking about?
There is definitely. You could go watch some live boxing. But if you want to catch it on the TV, it's not much.
No.
It's a real drought, man. It's a real drought.
It certainly is.
It's a drought, man.
There's just not very much going on. Because we were speaking off air, Ryan, we were speaking about trying to organise something for the near future, like to go and watch some boxing somewhere exciting, and we're struggling, aren't we? We're struggling.
We're really, really struggling. We're really, really, really struggling. I think... I mean... I'm trying to look... there's a card in Belfast on the 1st of February.
Very, very long card.
A very long card.
There's two. What's that all about? Why is there one... There's two long cards in Belfast on the same night.
Yeah. But
what's that all about?
One is being televised. The other isn't. So I think it shows you the difference. So, for example, one of them, for tickets, there's actually a mobile phone number right next to it.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't scream like high level.
When half of the people are TBA to their opponents.
Yeah. And the way to buy tickets is a mobile phone number.
Totally. So there's that. There is that. Mm-hmm. There's that option.
But yeah, it's pretty slim pickings. I was saying that if we'd been more organised, we should have gone to there's a sort of pretty decent card in Miami. Tevin Farmer's fighting, Bubu Andrade's fighting, and it's Miami. It would be quite cool. Nice bit of sunshine maybe. But anyway, we've left it too late.
Yeah. Well, then let us move on to the segment I know you've been missing. The 6 degrees of Danny Williams.
I was hoping you would be too busy to have time to do this.
Never too busy for Danny Williams, mate. Never too busy. So, this week, Andy, getting from Mr. Danny Williams to Mr. Richard Lartey. most famous for losing to Daniel Dubois.
Dubois
the boy from Ghana. You can actually do this. There's 2 steps between Danny Williams and Richard Lartey.
2 steps? Is Dubois one of them, going back the way?
No, but I'm pretty sure you probably could go that way. I imagine you could go that way.
Well, I'm sure you can.
But that's not the way that I have it going.
I don't know who Richard Lartey's fought apart from Dubois. That's the fundamental issue I have here. I have no idea who he's fought. So let me do it. Let me try and do it a clunky way.
Okay.
So
which is totally doable and actually quite easy. Actually, quite easy.
It'll be more moves.
Yeah.
I'm assuming. So if I know he's fought Dubois, and Dubois fought Kevin Johnson.
Yes.
Has Danny Williams fought Kevin Johnson? Probably not.
No, he hasn't. But he is a linchpin.
So who's Kevin? Kevin Johnson has fought. Who will he have fought? What's the easiest way? I'm doing this super like roundabout way. I'm making this really a lot more complicated than it needs to be. Kevin Johnson has fought. Who's Kevin Johnson fought? Right, I'll do it a really complicated way because it's the only way I can somehow think to do it. Kevin Johnson has fought. He's fought Klitschko, hasn't he? And Klitschko's fought Chisora, and Chisora's fought Danny Williams.
Sorry,
you're killing me, man. You are killing me. Right, Klitschko's fought Chisora's fought Williams, but yes. I know that is a really, really like.
It is a roundabout way because actually. Kevin Johnson's also fought Chisora. So you could have gone that way.
Know that.
Yeah, you could have gone that way. So the easiest way of going is Danny Williams fought Augustine Ngu, who fought Ibrahim Marshall, who fought Richard Lartey.
Right, you can go and take a run and fuck yourself. If you That's a bit unfair, I think. Because I think but if anyone's listening to this at all by now, then if you could have got either of those 2 fighters without looking them up, that Ryan has used as the linkage between Danny Williams and Richard Lartey, then get in touch with us, let us know, and we'll give you a shout out. Because that's ridiculous.
Sorry, it was a bit naughty. I
thought it might at least be people that I'd like heard of in passing.
I'm sure we've talked about Ingo before, actually, on Danny Williams, but yeah, it was a bit difficult. Right, so let us then move on to what the F went wrong last week. There was no episode for a month, so it was a bit naughty. So we'll kind of move fast on talking about random news because we have a lot to get through. We do have a lot. I thought we would be at this point quicker in the episode, but it never works like that. No. It's not the way we do things around here. Do you have anything you'd like to start with? I think there's quite a lot of things that are, there's some old news, there's some new news, there's some maturing news. Well, tell me where you want to go. You go for it, big man. Let's do a little segment on the life and times of Joshua Taylor since our last recording. Shall we?
Well, yes, I don't know. Yeah, okay.
So, obviously, he got into a little bit of trouble at a nightclub and pled guilty to that.
Ryan, sorry. Just there's someone at the door.
Right.
Okay. It's the newly wealthy boxer cliche police. They want to speak. They want to speak to Josh Taylor.
So he did get into a little bit of trouble, but then he apologized for it. And now,
did you see the charge that was apparently dropped?
There was a charge that was dropped. which it might have been alleged that he was carrying cocaine, but it was dropped. So we don't know. It might have just been, I don't know, sherbet. It might have just been a bit of sherbet. Yes, he's been in camp for a long time. He might not have been able to eat that much sherbet.
Or it could have been completely fictitious. We just don't know. But certainly there was a charge of possession, and it was dropped. But anyway, it was poor form. I mean, if you want to noise up a bouncer, then that's pretty stupid, and be really drunk with your pals when you're like fairly famous. That's pretty stupid too. But then racial slurs against bouncers are not cool.
No,
don't be that guy. Even if you're like afterwards, like, I would never do that sober. I didn't mean it. I don't know why I said it. Yeah, fine, but just don't be that guy.
Don't do it. Don't do it. So then he signed the deal with Top Rank.
Yeah,
real big deal. For him to sign.
You're gonna be a star, my friend. You're gonna be a star. We're gonna take you Atlantic. We're gonna make you a star. You're gonna be the biggest boxing star in all.
You're gonna fight Terence Crawford because nobody's gonna fight him. So we need you to fight Terence Crawford. Here's $1 million. So he signed with Top Rank.
Hold on a second.
Yeah,
I thought he was under a world-reaching exclusive promotional contract with an alternative promoter.
He did.
Oh, so I assumed there was some sort of agreement that was fully collaboratively and sensibly worked out.
No, it didn't seem that way. It seems like he just left.
You're not telling me that a boxer has switched promotions and there's talk of contract breaches and lawsuits and acrimony. There's none of that, surely.
Well, it seems that there might be, actually. And do you know what the funny thing about that is?
Go on.
Well, a very similar thing happened with Carl Frampton, with the exact same promoter.
Are there any boxers who don't, after a while, decide that the best idea for them is to no longer be represented by Barry McGuigan's promotional company?
It doesn't seem that way, does it?
It seems to happen a little bit too often, and you're kind of going, I wonder what's happening. Obviously, other people have said he steals all their money, but we don't know if that's true or not. But I guess if you were a boxer, you might object to someone stealing all of your money somehow. Mm-hmm. But who's to say? Although it does seem to happen to them fairly frequently. I'm assuming he's going to need a new trainer now.
Yeah, I guess Shane McGuigan's not going to keep him on, I guess, if there's contractual issues.
You would assume not?
You'd assume not. So, I don't know. I don't think it'll be that bad of a thing, to be honest. You know, I think there's probably only a certain level that Shane McGuigan's going to take you. You know, maybe it's time for him to move up.
Controversial. Maybe he needs. Maybe Bob can sort him out with one of the top ones, one of the best in the world.
Maybe Papachenko. Maybe he can sort him out with Papachenko.
Hilarious.
Could you imagine if Josh Taylor started getting...
You imagine the bands.
Yeah.
The bands.
Oh, so much bands. So much bands.
So it's all a bit interesting, isn't it? It's all about change. He's got the young man's gone through quite a lot of upheaval. I just hope it doesn't affect his performances. And speaking of which, there's a purse bid date set for January 24th for Josh Taylor versus Ipnun Kongsong, who is the IBF mandatory challenger, who he's apparently going to have to fight next.
Yeah.
Now, what do we know about Ipnun Kongsong?
Not much.
Very little.
Very little. So I couldn't see this being a problem, to be honest.
Oh, gotta be careful.
But, from what I can see, Josh Taylor is back at Lock End Boxing Club, training.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's training there. He's not like down in London. So I think it does say a lot.
Is he back in the gym after his hauls?
Back in the gym, yeah. Back in the gym. Getting on it. Getting on it.
Nice. I like it. I was seeing some of his posts on Twitter and stuff. He was reliving my Dubai experience. He was doing all the fun stuff.
Yeah.
I have to say, I looked a lot more heroic when I did the skydive over the Palm. Just saying, I wasn't going all like. I was like, yeah, man, it's awesome. Not scared at all. Just saying.
Yeah, he kind of shit himself, did he?
I looked all right. Anyway. What else do you want to talk about?
I was wondering if you're hungry.
I know where you're going with this.
Because I've got a big old bit of pie for you.
What type of pie is
It's
it?
humble pie.
I know. Why does this keep happening to me? Why does it always rain on me? Is it because I lied when I was 17? Why do I keep saying stuff with definitive, authoritative confidence that then proves to be completely wrong? Why does it keep happening to me?
I don't know, but I mean, the thing is, it is crazy that the Fury Wilder match is going to happen on the 22nd of February. It is mad.
I cannot believe that they're both doing this, especially with like Fury jettisoning his coach and stuff. You think he'd want more time to like bed in the ideas. I don't know. I am very surprised it's going ahead. But, maybe he felt like he overdid his previous training camps or something. I don't know.
It doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make any sense. But, it's more than confirmed. It's the press conferences. They were actually just even today, they were doing the press conferences had started. Mm-hmm. And Fury says he will knock Wilder out in the second round, which I find entirely unbelievable.
No, because he doesn't knock people out.
He does knock people out. An idea that he's going to do anything other than like dance around them for the first half a dozen rounds is very unlikely. But there's just absolutely no prospect he's going to knock him out in the second round. Mm-hmm. But I've been wrong before.
Well, so I don't know. I think it's a very interesting fight. Really fucks me off that it's in Las Vegas and it's not in New York. Actually.
Why?
Because of the time difference, Andy. I don't want to be up late. I don't usually go to bed past 10:30 at night.
Right, okay. Well, I hate to break it to you, but you are in a different time zone to New York.
I know, but it's much more manageable with New York than it is Las Vegas. That's all I'm saying.
You're such a snowflake.
I am a snowflake. I like to get my 8 hours. Have you read that book by Matthew Walker yet? Why Do We Sleep? You have to read it. Sleep is integral to our existence.
I'm not getting enough, and I only see that going one way.
Man,
in the
it's
near
going
future,
fucking well south for you, man. You're not sleeping again for another 10 years. Easily.
I'm going to put the tent up in the garden over the summer.
I think it's a good shout, actually.
I might do. I'm serious. I might do. Sleep in the tent for 3 months. Mm-hmm. Gain my energies.
Right. So, let us talk about White. Let's talk about Dillian White. Now, there's all sorts of chat about a big fight announcement coming on soon. Who it's going to be, I really don't know.
Oh, I saw something like this and I now can't remember who it was. Povetkin.
I've read that Povetkin said he would be open to a fight. I think Dillian White actually needs a good few months to get back in shape before he fights Povetkin.
Well, yeah, before he fights someone live. He was in poor condition. It'll be for like May or something. They want to.
Well, yeah, and Povetkin the last time out wasn't that impressive either, to be honest.
No, he's starting to age.
Yeah, he's really starting to age. He really couldn't handle the pace with Michael Hunter at all.
No.
So
I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. But his other chat was that he said Klitschko years ago. He said Klitschko knocked out Wilder cold in sparring.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
With the big gloves on, which is like entirely plausible, I would say. I don't know why White's... Don't know if he gains an awful lot by saying it, but it's entirely plausible because Wilder's got a suspect chin and Klitschko's a big, strong man.
He is, and he was very, very good at boxing, which he was very good at boxing. So
he was good at boxing.
We can't forget how good he was at boxing. I think
profound, right?
The thing is, I think some people like they don't actually, because they had this both the Klitschkos were known as being boring as fuck. And they didn't really attract massive television viewing either.
It was seen as the doldrums for the heavyweight. It was the heavyweight kind of wilderness years when they were the mainstays, because like there was no American interest and they were too dominant and stuff like that.
Exactly. But because of that, I think people forget how good they actually were.
I agree. They were very, very good. And I think I always say this before, I don't ever think Vitali gets enough credit. Like, he never lost when he wasn't like... He only lost to like injury retirements. Mm-hmm. No one ever beat him. No one ever got close to knocking him down. It's like... He was like indestructible, basically, apart from like the odd injury.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, and he could bang, and he had a heart like a lion. Anyway.
So, yeah.
No one else is having it. Speaking of injuries, our boy previously mentioned Joe Joyce is not fighting. He was supposed to fight Marco Huck this month, but he pulled out. Or Marco Huck pulled out, we should say.
Yeah, I know.
Which would have been a vaguely interesting fight. Now, Marco Huck is a sort of opponent which is, he is several levels above the numpties that Dubois is banging. But Joyce is running out of time. I feel like he's floundering. Mm-hmm. He's had one semi-decent fight in basically since he's turned pro. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then he's just fighting complete diddies otherwise. He needs to get a wriggle on. Huck would have been a good enough step, but he needs to fight someone decent. Anyway, we'll see if the Dubois fight materialises.
Now, whatever. I think this got announced while we were on our break, potentially. But Mikey Garcia is fighting Jesse Vargas on the 29th of February. So Mikey Garcia's back. And he's fighting at welterweight. Now, I just want to say this. I want to throw this out here to anyone from the Transnational Boxing Rankings Board. Okay? Mm-hmm. This means that I don't think that there's a chance that he's going back down in weight at all. Mm-hmm. At least for the near future. Which means that Josh Taylor should be the lineal champion in the junior welterweight division, as far as I'm concerned. Because he beat the second-ranked person. Mikey Garcia is not fighting at junior welterweight anymore. He's campaigning at welterweight. At what point do they fucking say he's not a junior welterweight anymore?
It's a good question.
You know what I mean? It's a really fucking good question, actually.
Well, don't congratulate yourself too much, right?
Well, I just think that, let credit be where credit is. And, I think they've kind of forgotten about this.
I think you kind of molested that saying somewhat there, but never mind. So he last fought in March 2018. He last fought at Super Light. Mm-hmm.
That's a long time ago, Andy.
Nearly 2 years.
Nearly 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and obviously he's not going to fight. It's going to be over it's going to be 2.5 years. Yeah, does it just keep indefinitely there? I think it's a fair point. I do think you've got a fair point there.
So, I think everybody who listens to this podcast should tweet the TBRB and ask them this question, please.
How long does Mikey Garcia get to stay as the lineal champion if he doesn't fight at Super Light?
Exactly. And their Twitter is at TBR board, all one word. So there you go.
It's a fair question.
It is a fair question.
It's a fair question.
I think so.
I don't know. I would say as well, just my point, I don't know why he's fighting at welter again. It went so well for him last time.
Oh, yeah, I know.
He won like none of the rounds against Errol Spence and looked completely undersized. Mm-hmm. I know Jesse Vargas is not Errol Spence, but really, what you doing, man?
I don't know. Maybe Garcia's just a bit too fat to go back down. Because do you remember when he came up in weight, he did look chunky.
He did look chunky. He didn't like he'd put the weight on the right way. Maybe he's like with more time, he feels like he can build up to the weight more properly. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. Because there was all the before he was like, oh, he's one of the pound for pounds, and then he got completely schooled at welter, and it's like, what is he going to do? Is he going to rebuild and try do some more fights at welter? I mean, is that where he's going to stay now? As he said, anyway. Interesting.
Indeed.
Have we got any more random news?
Nah, man. I think that's probably our fill for the week.
I've got a tiny bit more random news.
What's
that? Box Nation.
What about Box Nation? Have they actually got a fight on?
Box Nation are back.
I
think there was one on. I can't remember what it was, but there was a reasonable, like a world title fight that was on while in the interim, which I've now forgotten which one it was, and they have some fights coming up. So the aforementioned Williams versus Rosario fight, that's on Box Nation on Saturday night.
Really? Okay.
And Danny Garcia fighting against Ivan Redkach, which is what apparently is an eliminator. That he's fighting, and Jarrett Hurd's on that undercard as well. So on the 25th, so next week. So yeah, there are actual fights. They've got one of them's and they've got a fight that's picked up from Showtime. They've got the PBC fights going on. They're actually showing some fights. What's that all about?
That's mad. That is mad.
Here we are. This is live, guys. I'm reading this live. Box Nation has become a part. No, sorry, I've just made that up. 2 events in January from PBC.
It's well worth your money now.
That's what it was. The Shields fight, Clarissa Shields fight, was on Box Nation.
Oh, really? Okay.
That's what it was, yeah. So, I mean, get out of town, huh?
Now, also, I've totally forgot that we need to mention this. Deontay Wilder and the Pope. Did you hear?
You'll need to give me a clue.
You know Deontay Wilder met the Pope?
No.
Yeah, with Mauricio Saruman. Okay.
Are you calling him Saruman as like a funny thing?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's Salaman, obviously.
Right. Okay.
It's because Deontay Wilder is the WBC peace ambassador.
The boxing organisations have a peace ambassador. So they do that like knowingly. Is that self-aware?
Well, considering he's on multiple occasions said he wants a body on his record, I think there must be a hint of irony in there. Surely,
he seems like an excellent advocate for peacetime, peace talks.
I know. So yeah, just so we could mention that, because I totally forgot.
Okay. He met the Pope. Okay.
Right. Well, Andy, do you want to tell me then what grinds your gears this week?
You know what really grinds my gears?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things I thought I would mention. The first is, we talked about obviously the thing with Taylor doing the being drunk and getting thrown out of a nightclub and racially abusing a bouncer, and in the not too distant future we had Errol Spence Jr. like flipping a car and we've had various like fights and altercations involving boxing's favourite idiot, Gervonta Davis. I'm very, very fed up of boxers living out the cliche, and I want them to stop doing it. Thank you very much, because it's just a bit painful. So it's just embarrassing all round, and it makes us all look a bit silly, to be perfectly honest. So obviously BJS, Britain's favourite boxing idiot, BJS, you know where to start with him. He also fits into that mould, like some sort of relatively low level, just kind of pure moronic activity, brain disengaged stuff. So if you're a professional boxer, if you've got reasonably high profile, just say no. Look both ways before you cross the road, you know?
Yeah.
Use that as a metaphor for your life and stop being a numpty. And the only other thing I had was it feels like a boxing wilderness just now with the January. January is just like, where's the boxing?
It's real bad, actually. It's real bad. You know, I guess there must be a part of it because people don't want to do a training camp over Christmas.
Surely that can't be.
Well, would you want to do a training camp over Christmas? I mean, you know, I've eaten.
So where you don't have to then put it back on.
Yeah.
You don't have to then lose it. You can be like, oh well, that'll keep me in good shape.
You keep me in good nick. Yeah, it's actually disgusting, to be perfectly honest with you right now.
It's just dire, just nothing doing. So, I think that's me.
Right, okay.
Would you care to tell me then what's been grinding your gears this week?
You know what really grinds my gears?
Yeah, Andy, I'm going to tell you what grinds my gears this week, actually.
Can you do it in no uncertain terms, please, for effect?
I'm going to tell you what grinds my gears this week. And it's actually the Tyson Fury Deontay Wilder stuff, okay, is grinding my gears this week, right? Because it's all the palaver that, you know, Tyson Fury's speaking about. I'm gonna knock him out. I'm gonna do this. Oh, I've got him. Blah blah blah. And compared to the last fight, I think it's very different because if you remember the last time round, they were actually relatively complimentary to each other and quite respectful of each other. There was a big love in last time, and actually, I think, you know, I would hope that they both recognise that almost neither of themselves nor the public know who's going to win this fight this time around. I don't think I can call it because, you know, if Tyson Fury manages to not get knocked out real bad, I think he wins this fight. Mm-hmm. But if Deontay Wilder connects with him in any way, I think Tyson Fury's gone because I don't think he's probably as fit this time round as he was last time.
So it'll be I mean, a lot of it will be based on his condition. Yeah, I think so.
You know, and I'm a bit annoyed at Tyson Fury actually because this has got to be the biggest fight that's happened in recent years because you know, AJ hasn't really been fighting the two people we want him to fight. Let's be honest. Not through any fault of his own, right? Before I get people like fucking messaging us saying like, "Oh yeah, but it's because they're dodging him," which I totally agree with. You know, this is a massive fight and a massive opportunity for Tyson Fury, and I don't think he's been working hard enough for this. He's been WWE
I'm not convinced.
He hasn't been fighting people. He hasn't like fought anyone of note that would maybe keep him ticking over properly. He's been fighting total nuggets ever since, like, yeah, of course, maybe take an easy fight after the Deontay Wilder fight. That was a big one. But fighting nuggets, really struggling, you know?
We have to remember how badly he struggled against Valen in his last fight. He was, and Valen is rubbish.
Exactly.
And he was really, really struggled with him. I mean, obviously, Deontay Wilder's a totally different fight, and he'll take it more seriously, blah, blah, blah. But, I mean, the reality is he looked terrible in his last fight.
He looked awful. And I think, again, we're talking about cliches. He's done what? He's sacked his trainer. He's done this. He's done that. I think Ben Davidson was great for him, actually. I really appreciated a lot of Ben Davidson's insight. Whenever you hear him say stuff, he sounds really switched on. And I think he's taken a step backwards rather than forwards. It's not like he's gone, I want to implement more science into my training or anything, or the way that I'm approaching things. He's going way backwards, like old school trainers. It's going to be worse.
I know. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. But then the thing is, I guess the other point is he did look. It's like what went on for it to be so bad as it was, in the the last fight, because he looked so terrible. That's I guess one of the kind of things to worry about. If you were him, you would be concerned about how bad he looked in the last fight. So it's kind of like, was it? Does the trainer take some responsibility, or was it him, or I don't know.
I put it down to him. I do not think he took that fight in any way seriously, because he knew the guy was a nugget, and I don't think he trained properly for it. I really don't think he's trained properly for the Deontay Wilder fight, if I'm really honest with you.
I don't see how he can properly, to be honest.
I think if he loses this fight, it's because of himself and not because Deontay Wilder is any better.
No, Deontay Wilder will just be the same.
Yeah. We're not going to come and see a new Wilder that's going to start skipping around the ring. Using a jab, for fuck's sake.
The bookies can't really split them, actually. It's almost exactly 50-50. I was just looking as you were speaking there. Some of them actually have it. Yeah. As close to even as you can get.
So anyway, that's what ground my gears this week, Andy.
Nice.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Well,
it's good to be back, Ryan. It's good to be back.
It is good to be back, man. So we'll wrap it up here for the week, guys. But it's good to be back. We will be back again next week with another episode for you. Hopefully we'll maybe find some boxing to talk about. I don't know what we'll talk about next week. But with that in mind, it's goodbye from me, Ryan.
And goodbye from me, Andrew.